This is a brief tutorial of Bunny Kingdom. This is a drafting game from Richard Garfield where we are placing our bunnies on this board in various places trying to create fiefs, and those fiefs get value from their towers and the different resources they provide. And there's other ways to get points. It's 4 rounds of passing around, and then after each round there's a scoring round where all the fiefs are calculated, and then at the end there's a bunch of other ways to get points. And once you go through the 4 rounds, that's the end of the game. So the game is very simple in terms of the mechanics of it. All you're doing is drafting 2 cards and then passing either to the left or the right, depending on the round. Those cards will let you either place your bunnies on the board at certain spots, or they will let you enhance places on the board that you already have bunnies after all the drafting's been done, or they let you get points at the end of the game. We'll go through those different types of cards here in just a minute. So as you can see here, these are the cards that you start with. Note that the most common card are these cards that associate with various squares on the board. They have a coordinate on them, and there's one of each of these cards in the entire deck. And as you can see, BGA will show you specifically where those cards are as you hover over them, which is nice on the computer. On your phone, it may be a little bit tricky, but when you click on them, it should at least show you, and then you can uncheck them to see where they are. Now you can see on the card there's a little symbol that says something about that. So if there's no symbol there, there's nothing really special about that square. It doesn't either have a tower on it or produce a resource. It's okay, you can always add those later with other cards, but those cards show you what those have on it. So here, C1, as you can see up here, it has a little tower there, which contributes to the scoring, and C2 doesn't have anything. H10 over here has a wood resource it produces, whereas these ones don't have anything on them. So these are the main cards I have, and then these cards are called parchment cards, the ones with a little scroll on them, and they're just ways to get points at the end of the game based on various things. Here, 20 points if you can produce 7 wood. I wish I'd taken that one. I ended up producing a lot of wood in this game. And this card is a provisions card where if you play that, you just take 2 random cards and play them automatically. So you'll take 2 cards. Everybody will take 2 cards, pass it around. If it's one of these cards here with a coordinate on it, you immediately put your bunny on the board. If it's one of these parchment ones, then you put it face down so nobody else can see, or it'll be hidden from you or from the other players until the end of the game, and those are the points that you can get. There are a few other cards that we'll see that come first, or that also come through the draft, but we'll talk about those as we see them. You'll notice we've got a few different statistics up here. This is the number of territories. That means bunnies on squares that you have. Here are the number of fiefs. A fief is a city. It's a combined adjacent set of bunnies, not diagonally adjacent, only vertically and horizontally adjacent. These lava flows will block cities, so if you had one here and one here, they would not be connected. I'm sorry, not fiefs, not cities. The cities are these little structures here, and there are different various levels of cities. These are all level 1, you can see with 1 tower, but there are level 2 and level 3 ones that you can add later. And then these are the different resources that you produce. Wood, fish, and carrots are the main 3 resources that are found on the board, but then there are some luxury resources that can come through that you can add to it to enhance the value of that fief. And you can see that, and then the golden carrots are your victory points. That's what you're producing each round. So in this case, I chose these 2 cards. I thought, hey, I'll try to make a fief to begin with here, and so it puts my bunnies on C1 and C2. and then someone else played one and must have kept a different card, and then the other person just kept their other two cards for either after the round or at the end of the game. Again, these are all ones that are either directly on the board or the parchment cards at the end. We're not seeing any of the other types yet. Notice that I don't get any. This fief currently doesn't have any value. So how does a fief have value to it? And how do you go score points off a fief? It is not the size of it. You may just want to build as big of a fief as you possibly can. That actually doesn't really. I mean, typically a bigger fief is going to have more opportunities to score and is going to be higher scoring. But that is not what really determines it. The way that the fief is determined in terms of value is it takes the number of tower strength. So these are 1, these towers, but later there'll be ones that are worth 2 and worth 3. It adds up all of those values within the fief. And then it says the number of different resources that you produce and multiplies that together. So in this case, I have a tower of strength 1, but I don't have any resources produced currently. So it's not worth anything yet. If I get down to here, I'll be producing wood. And so that 1 strength times 1 wood, 1 different type of element of resource, is 1 point for that fief. So you're always thinking about making sure you're both getting lots of towers in the fief and lots of different types of resources that you can get. And so the main 3 resources are these forest tiles with wood, these farm tiles with the carrots, and these river tiles with the fish. All right, so we're still playing them some. Here now we see a new type of card. This is a city card. This is basically when you choose this card during the draft, it goes down here. Then at the end of the round, everybody gets to place those towers in places that they already own that don't have a tower in them already. So I'm going to choose one of those, right? So I chose E3 because I thought, all right, that's a carrot. Maybe I can eventually join those up. E3 and this city one here. And it goes down here and is waiting for the end of the round. There are also resource cards that are in a similar way. Some are just regular resources, some are luxury resources. And those regular resources you can put on a tile that doesn't have that resource already. There are sometimes requirements for that, and we'll see that when it comes around. So here as well, I put my parchment card here. Nobody else can see that, but that was one of the ones I chose. Another parchment, and then you'll have 2 more that you just get, and they just play. All right. So now we're going through, and these are the cards that the other players have. You can see that this player has a whole bunch of parchment cards. This player has 3. This player has 7. I have 3. They have a 2 city, 2 1 cities. Then they also have this, what's called a camp card. A camp is basically a way to place a bunny anywhere that doesn't have a city. So this would let you connect a fief that isn't connected already. You don't have to use them at the end of the round, but this is your opportunity at the end of each round to do so. And so you would take the camp and you say, I want to put, like if I had a camp, maybe I would stick it, I couldn't put it where the tower is, but I could put it maybe here, and then hopefully I get that one as well at the end. The sky tower, if you take that card, then you can connect 2 of your fiefs, and they act like 1 fief. So you can make 1 very large fief. I ended up doing that with one of my largest ones, and got some good points out of that because of it. So everybody places their camps, and then once everybody places camps, so that person decided not to, they wanted to save it. which makes sense. After the first round, there's not really many good places for it. But now everybody can play their building cards. So I took this building card and I put it over here. Oh, now you can see there's a little sign there. Whenever you see a sign like that, that means you're actually getting points for that city. And the nice thing is as you hover over cards, it will show on those signs how they change if you put them there. And so you can kind of see, like, this is only at 1 point because it's 1 tower times 1 type of resource. So it's 1 times 1. But as it goes on, you'll be able to see some of the differences that can take. You can see other people's building cards and the way they get points. And then we're on to round 2. Got a bunch more resources, or a bunch more cards that come through. And again, you can see as they come through, you can see there's a camp card and then a few other parchment cards as well. I'm going to skip a bit ahead and show you what a later in the game looks like. Okay, this is the end of round 3. Other players have placed most of their buildings and things. I've got a few things I can place. But there was one thing I wanted to mention about camps. So camps are nice because they can fill in those holes to connect and make fiefs that are the size you want. However, if somebody ends up playing the coordinate card later for that camp, then the camp goes away and the other player just gets on top of it. So for example, you can see this is a camp I have here. If somebody later plays H2, they will put their bunny there and my bunny will just go away. So anytime you see these camps there. And you can see I've gotten some fairly large camps going, not quite the size that they've got, but I have an idea here because I have a luxury resource, this pearl here, which is great because that adds a new resource type. However, notice that it's got this water, this wave next to it. That means it has to be placed on a water spot. I can't just place it anywhere. There are some that are required on forest or on mountains, wherever that might be. I have a tile here, and then I also have a sky tower. So I was going to connect this big one here to this one down here and get a large fief that I can get big scoring out of. You'll notice here some of the other, like this is a 3-1. You can see there's 3 towers on it if you're curious what types are. This is a 2, or no, this is just a 1. Here's a 2 with these both are 2s. They have 2 towers on them, so that helps increase that strength. So I put a city on that one, and you see when it does that, it increases that score for me. And I put that pearl. Now it's 3 times 3 instead of 3 times 2. Then I stuck these 2 together, and now it's a 20-point fief because it's 5 strength with 4 resource. And I go on to eventually make that a 40-point fief. I was just kind of trying to create the biggest one I could, though I did end up losing because I was not focused on the parchment cards well enough, it turns out. So that's basically it. So now we go, this is the last round, and we have more different types of cards to put in. So here are some cards we didn't see before. These are ones that are a wood or a fish that you can put on a spot that doesn't have a resource currently. And so that's a good way to add variety to your fiefs. Continue to play through that. I ended up getting the most points for fiefs, but I lost big time because of those parchment cards. It turned out my opponents were able to score pretty big on those parchment cards. Maybe if I'd gotten some early, very valuable fiefs, I could have gotten those multiple scoring ones. If I'd been able to score that 20, or I ended up getting it as 40 by the end. If I'd been able to do that a couple rounds earlier, then that could have been really valuable for me. But you gotta kind of balance that, like the wealth and the variety of your fiefs, also those parchment and mission cards that can be helpful. That is Bunny Kingdom. So you go through and you play through. And so I'm back kind of at the beginning here because I wanted to show one thing real quick and it reset the game. But you have some options here that you can, for visual options. Right now this is a 3D view. I like it, but it's maybe not as informative. You can go to a 2D view. That might be a little more helpful in determining where things are. And so instead of the bunnies, seeing the actual bunnies, you just see the specific colors, and it highlights the various things for you. And it's a little easier visually, but not quite as cool looking. So that is an option. You have a couple other options to increase, decrease the card size so you can see better. A few different visual options there. Otherwise, again, 4 rounds of drafting. Play your bunnies wherever they land. Try to create wealthy fiefs. Try to fill those mission cards and win the game. All right, hope this is helpful.